And good morning, friends. Jay from Cold Nights here, and we are here for another episode of Coffees and Consoles. We have a little bit of news to go over today. Then, we're going to share 5 incredible PS1 titles that I think you should try in 2025 that are a little on the obscure side. Maybe you haven't heard of them. Maybe they're a game in a franchise that's a little different than the rest, but they're all going to be awesome to check out. And of course, we'll feature the prices for collectors who are interested in grabbing them. We're also going to try out a delicious coffee this morning. I guess that's the point of the show. This morning, we are doing great value French vanilla, but we went double vanilla. So we have some wonderful Coffee Mate French vanilla on top of that vanilla taste. And we're going to see just how that is. So, I'm excited to get started. So, let's introduce our mug for the day. We have a beautiful Link and Epona mug. Can't beat that. Always love to get started with a Zelda coffee mug in the morning. So, without further ado, let's give this double French vanilla coffee a try. Ooh, let me tell you, before I even start, the aroma is great. I love it. What a good taste. I think I made a great decision going with double French vanilla. Really piles up. It's a great flavor. I did put a little bit of Splenda, but we don't want to go too sweet because the Coffee Mate does add quite a bit of sweetness. But yeah, great taste. That could really get you going in the morning. So, couple of things that came up this week in the news, and one of them is actually positive. So, Sony just announced during its Days of Play sales that they run, they're going to be doing a price drop on the PS5 Pro from $699 to $649. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but I think it's a huge deal, even if it's for a short period of time, that there is companies that are making pro-consumer moves during a time where a lot of video game companies have really been anti-consumer with a lot of their practices. We have price hikes going up everywhere. We have a complete lack of respect for ownership and physical games. We have just awful times in the video game industry. And it's good to see that Sony is, making a little concession here to help out during a time where Nintendo is asking record prices for their consoles and games, and Microsoft is quickly following suit. Sony has recently announced plans to raise the prices on their PS Plus subscriptions, but this is a step in the right direction, and we'll take anything. And rumor has it there may be more cuts coming up. So it shows that one of the larger corporations is willing to be competitive for the consumer in the current market. And that's a win, regardless of how brief or small the reduction of price may be. So I'll definitely take that. I'm glad to see that. So it's good to see some good news when most of the news we get is bad. And we are going to also start covering, probably once a video, games that are coming up for consoles that I'm pretty excited about. And one that I want to talk about today that I recently picked up on Steam on sale when I heard that it was coming to the PS5 was a little game called Copycat. So we're going to get some trailer footage up in the corner here. But it's really a narrative-driven, deep, lovely little game about a cat and the issues it faces in its life with abandonment and loss. And I started the game thinking we were going to have an experience that was kind of cutesy and that it wasn't going to get too deep. But I was quickly floored by the emotion in the game. So, I don't really want to ruin the story too much, but it's about a cat, and the game starts in the adoption center, and you get to pick from 6 different cats, which is pretty cool because, you know, a lot of us are animal lovers, and you kind of want to probably pick the one that most resembles your childhood pet or your current pet. And after that, the old lady brings the cat home, and the emotions just start rolling. So I actually do highly suggest this game. It's a short experience, probably 3 to 4 hours, depending on how much time you take with it. I completed it in one sitting. I was kind of riveted. But as a warning, it does deal with some darker themes, and it does deal with, you know, loss, and a lot of kind of things that may trigger people emotionally. So do be warned about that. But the game is really beautiful. It was made by a dev team of 2 people, which is always very impressive. So I love to support small devs, indie devs, whenever I can. And it's cool to see that it's coming to consoles. Now, I don't know if there's a physical release in the works. Let's hope so. I think that would really be neat if a company like LRG or Premium Edition Games was to get a hold of that. I think that would be really cool. But we'll see. Maybe I'll drop it to some of my pals at Premium and see if they're interested in it at all. Maybe they can talk with the devs. That would be pretty neat. But I definitely suggest you guys check out Copycat, whether you get it on Steam digitally or you grab it on the console when it comes out later this week. So, with that being said, what I want to talk about today is the incredibleness that is the Sony PlayStation. I was just talking to my wife the other day about the PlayStation, the console itself, and how the PS1 is literally what I call a brick shithouse. And that sounds kind of like a crazy term, but this thing is basically indestructible. The one I had as a teenager, I'm pretty sure I spilled stuff on it, I knocked it off the TV stand that I had multiple times, then got banged around, and it worked and worked and worked. It just kept going. Now I have a nice cleaner one that I got as an adult, but this thing, right, PS1 games can play on the PS2 and they can play on the PS3, but this is so dependable with the laser and performance, I actually prefer to use my actual PlayStation over the PS2 or the PS3. When I think back of how many times I've had to replace PS2s or PS3 consoles because of laser, door, issues like that, it's numerous times. I've probably had 5 or 6 PS2s, and I've probably had 3 or 4 PS3s, and even more for my son when he was young and wanted to kind of get into the retro gaming when he saw dad was collecting. So this house has seen so many. Do you know how many PS1s I've had? 2. The original one that I had as a kid, which I don't know what happened to it, and the one I picked up a few years ago, and I've never had any problems with them. So if you're going to get into PS1 collecting, or just playing games on the PS1 physically, one of the things I always suggest to people is that you pick up the DualShock. I think that's what it's called. So adding the analog sticks is so important. You cannot beat the analog edition of the PlayStation controller. Now, not all games are going to support it, but the games that do, it's a godsend, because you know how tough it can be in that time where we had 3D games in 3D environments and you could only use the D-pad. That totally sucked. A couple of the games on my list do not support the analog, and I won't lie, the control can be very, very rough. But I always suggest picking up one of these beautiful controllers. And it's the same thing. How much stick drift, how much communication issues have we had with modern day controllers? I don't think I've ever had a problem with these controllers. I've had this one. I have a green one. You literally can't beat it. Even some of the third-party ones are good and dependable, especially when compared to modern day controllers. So, totally get on the analog bandwagon for the PlayStation 1. Don't forget also your memory cards. I don't know how many times I've gone to record footage, make a video, or just enjoy my PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 and could not find one of these bastards. They are scattered throughout my whole collection. There's some in the hoard in the room in the closet. There's some put away in boxes. There's some in carrying cases. I have so many of these, so many great memories locked away in them, but I also want to make new memories. So keep in mind that if you're going to get into the collecting, you can get these very cheap on the aftermarket, especially if you go with third-party brands. And you know what? I don't really see a big difference. I know back in the day, they said I could corrupt your files and stuff. I never had that. I used Mad Catz for my GameCube, for my PlayStation. I got a ton of the generic ones and a ton of the official ones. But make sure you have a couple of these, because some of the games have massive save files, especially on the GameCube, but also on the PlayStation 1. But the worst feeling is knowing you want to play a game and that if you play it, you're not going to be able to save. So when you're done with your sitting, that's going to be it. That's no fun. And some of the games won't even let you play unless you have a way to initialize a save. So make sure you have one of these beauties handy. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the 5 games I've picked for today that I consider obscure or lesser known titles for the PS1 that you should play in 2025. So we're going to start with one from Psygnosis, and this is one that I didn't play when I was younger, but having recently experienced it, I can tell you I really, really enjoyed it, and that is Shipwreckers. This game is so fun. The characters in it are hilarious. They're these kind of like comically drawn, like 3D animated characters. There's a hilarious little parrot that's always getting like blown up by like bombs and cannons. And what it is, it's like a 3/4 down isometric naval warfare where you literally, it's basically kind of like a shooter, but you got your ship and you're fighting turret installations, you're fighting other ships, and you can get different cannonballs of different strengths and different amounts. It is a very fun, chill game to play through a couple levels. It has checkpoints as you go through like the dry docks, and you'll come to like another town, and then you get your checkpoint there, and you'll be able to replenish your health, get some more cannonballs, and then you can continue on the fight. So this is one I definitely suggest people check out, especially if you've never played a game like this. And as always, we're going to take a look inside and take a look at the cool art. So, as you can see, there is our adorable pirate characters, all right, in all their 3D glory, all right. Beautiful cover. We got the Jolly Roger with his cool sunglasses, and the disc, also beautiful. Jolly Roger. I always love these. I always love how the discs look on the PS1. And surprisingly, all of these are in very good condition. So they're all complete and they're all not scratched up. So I got lucky with the ones I picked. I had no problem getting footage for these this morning. So definitely check out Shipwreckers. The next one I want to look at really surprised me because I played it a little bit when I was younger. And when I was really surprised when I came back to get footage, how much I actually enjoyed it and what a stroll down memory lane it was. And that is Zena, Warrior Princess. Now, this is not your fighting game, Zena. This is the hack and slash adventure game, and it is so fun. You have your basic 3 or 4 different attacks. You can jump, but one of the cool things is there's these scenes where she can throw the chakram and free hostages, and the combat is just so addicting and so fun, and it comes in short bursts. The stages are very short, 4, 5, 10 minutes long, and then after you complete that section, and then it saves, and then it will have like a cool little like infographic that'll show like a scene from the show, and it's like Zena's going on to the village to rescue the villagers from the pirates, and it will show like pictures from the show. And one of the cool things about this is when it opened, there was a hilarious conversation between her and Gabrielle, and it just reminded me of the show, how much I love Zena, how much I love Lucy Lawless. Such a great game. And as you can see, all of the advertisements for the show on the game featured prominently. And then I like these when they were advertising behind the discs for games that were coming out. Such great memories. And as you can see on the front, watch weeknights at 6 p.m. 5 Central on USA. So, guys, this one I definitely suggest you check out. I was very surprised by how well it holds up, and I actually think, aside from getting my footage this morning, I'm definitely going to play this some more this evening, because I really look forward to this. So, definitely one I think you should check out. This one I consider obscure because it's so different than all of the other games in the series. It's where it started, Dynasty Warriors 1 for the PlayStation. So, what a lot of people don't realize is that Dynasty Warriors 1 is a fighting game a la Tekken or Virtua Fighter. Now, they're used to the hack and slash, one versus many Muso combat that it would later become famous for. But this is a very fun trip down memory lane, especially if you love the Virtua Fighters and the early Tekken games. If you want to fight with your favorites like Dian Wei, Cao Cao, Lu Jun, this is a great place to start. And I really, really love... Look at this here. So, it's actually a little historical diagram of all the important characters in the game and what parts they were from. We have the Han Dynasty and then your three kingdoms. I really love it. Obviously the character selection is much smaller in this game than the later games that would have 50, 60 playable characters, but it's really cool. You can play as Dao Chan. There's unlockable characters. I definitely suggest checking out Dynasty Warriors 1, because yes, it's probably not the best fighting game out there, but it's definitely a shock to see all your favorite Dynasty Warriors characters in basically a Tekken game. So definitely check this one out. Next up, I had another one that I surprisingly enjoyed. I picked it because it was so out of left field, but when I was playing, I was like, this is really fun. And that is Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles. And this, first off, on the PlayStation, there are so many incredible just hack and slash adventure games that, like, I can't even keep track of them. And this one actually surprised me. This is one that I had not played a lot when I was younger. I played it a little bit as an adult, and it had been a while since I played this morning, and I really enjoyed it. It allows you to pick from a couple of the different Jedi, like Mace Windu, Plo Koon, Qui-Gon Jinn from Episode 1, and it's really fun to just go through the stages and hack those battle droids up. Hack those droids up. It's really cool. It's just like the movies where their arms and their heads pop off and everything. And listen to this awesome sound that Yoda makes every time you pick up an item. Great stuff. I definitely suggest you check out Jedi Power Battles. And here again, I adore the way these discs look. Look just how colorful that is. That is such a beautiful disc. Yeah, there's no grand picture on it, but it just looks nice. I don't feel like discs look that nice anymore. And here are the 5 characters you can start with. I do believe you can unlock more as you go. And it was just a really fun time to revisit this game because I love Star Wars, and I actually like the prequel movies quite a lot. And believe it or not, going back and playing like the pod racer games, playing some of the space fighter games, and playing this one from the prequel series, they're all really good, and a lot of people slept on them, so I definitely suggest checking this one out. The last one I want to cover is a game that I find so special, and I played it quite a lot when I was younger, and I definitely enjoyed it, and its awesome sequel as an adult. And it's a game that I consider obscure because, once again, it's so different than all of the other games in the series. And that one is Mega Man Legends. This one is the Greatest Hits edition, but this is a beautiful 3D action battler, and you can't beat it. And one of the things I love the most about it, let's go to a clip of the incredible voice acting featured in Mega Man Legends.
Mega Man! The police saw us crash land and came to check up on us.
Well, you certainly put on quite a show. But it looks like everyone's all right. Let me welcome you to Cadillac's Island. Now, I'd like to ask one of you to come with me to the station.
We need you to fill out some immigration forms. so you can get your registration and ID card. You can't enter the city without one.
Don't worry. It won't take very long. While you're waiting, you can spend your time in the shopping arcade next to the city. You don't need an ID card to get in there.
Are you ready to go, Professor?
What beautiful voice acting. And that's coming from someone who loved the voice acting in Resident Evil 1. Sometimes so bad it's good is the way to go. Now, this one is somewhat valuable, but its sequel, Adventures of Tron is incredibly expensive. Thankfully, you can get it on PSN and enjoy it for a much cheaper digital price. But if you want it physically, you're talking hundreds of dollars. Maybe even over $500 now. But this one's still fairly affordable physically, whether you get the black or the greatest hits version. But this is so fun. It has such cute characters, and it really is really fun to explore that 3D world with Mega Man with the incredible voice acting. This one unfortunately does not support the analog, so the control can be a little rough using the D-pad and using the left and right triggers to control the camera. Takes a little getting used to, but I definitely think it's worth putting in the work to enjoy this game. Let's take another swig of that delicious double French vanilla coffee. Man, that is really good. So, I want to thank all of you for coming out today. I do have something I want you to check out. So as many of you know, I am the official streaming personality for Premium Edition games. We do awesome physical releases of games. We bring you beautiful retro editions of them. And I don't talk about it a ton on the channel because I feel like I'm representing Premium and I'm not using it for my own gains. But last night on the Premium channel, we had a very special quiz show, the Proudly Premium video game quiz, and we had such a good time. We had my friends Phil One Up, Brandon from Just the Gems on with me, and it was hosted by my good friend and video game expert and author Tristan Ibarra, and we had a tremendous time. So I don't usually ask you to check things out, but I would love it if you guys would check out our quiz show. I'm going to link it in the end card of the video. It's hilarious, and you're going to pick up some great video knowledge if you check it out. So before I go, we're going to hit the Zelda mug one more time. Good stuff. Thanks again for coming by, folks. We'll see you tomorrow morning with even more coffee and consoles. And as always, stay creepy. Bye, guys.